All right. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Hypnosis Hero. It is a Tuesday night. I'd love to say that all the snow has completely gone away, but it has not, because last week we had this impromptu thing called a snowstorm. And as much as we would like to think that we're in spring at least 1.4, we returned to winter. It was like winter 4.3.2. It's a seesaw battle, but I think by the end of this week we should actually be so far into the plus temperatures. If there is snow anywhere, it isn't going to stick around very long unless it has sunglasses. So, which is not a bad thing. So beginning of April, we have beginning of May. There we go. Almost lost a whole month there. Beginning of May, and as always, at the beginning of a month, I take a look at what's coming up and where things are going. Tonight, we have an absolutely amazing guest, world-class hypnotist, definitely a presenter at many conferences. I actually would have seen her at Hypnotize a few years ago. And we also have coming up in a couple of weeks, Mr. Bob Martin is making a return appearance. We'll see if he can change Brian's mind. But Bob actually has released a book called The Secret Self. And so we are going to help him with his official book launch and get things going on his Amazon page as sales progress. So we're going to have lots of fun with that. And all of that said, and speaking of guys that are progressing, we should bring on my co-host, Mr. Brian Bay.
We're progressing. We're in the cosmetic dentistry. Yes, we are progressing along the lines of restoration.
There you go.
I'm still learning to getting used to talking with this retainer thing in my mouth, but yeah, man. How's your weekend?
Time. When you're retraining, it takes time.
Mm-hmm. But what's new with you?
Well, apparently not the government.
Like I said, when you're ready to come live with Dad, you've got an open door. Saskatchewan and Alberta.
What is it that Scott calls them? Freedom units. Those
freedom units
looking,
yeah.
A little tempting. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. There's going to be a lot of that going back and forth for the next little while, and it is not a majority government, so it is quite likely we will wind up back at the polls inside of a year and a half, 2 years.
Keep in mind the difference between the American Constitution and Canadian is that the American Constitution simply memorializes and recognizes the fact that our rights are given to us by our Creator. The Canadian one says your rights are given to you by the government, and if the government can giveth, the government shall taketh away. You guys have seen.
Oh yes, there's no question about that. So, so we got a few people joining in here on TikTok, and we've got some people joining us on YouTube, and one person joining us up on Facebook. So we got some people watching.
Yeah. Becca's on joining us from England. So Becca, welcome. Great to see you with us tonight, or this morning.
Tomorrow morning. No, it's tomorrow morning. This morning was already past.
Yeah.
But yes, Becca's joining us from across the pond. Hope you are doing well, Becca. Okay, now let me get my intro. There we go. All right, as promised tonight, like I said, we have a world-class hypnotist with us.
Enough about you, Shawn. Let's talk about our
guest. we're world class, but we may be world class at other things.
Definitely excited about our guest tonight.
Oh, absolutely. So Victoria Gallagher is a worldwide leader in hypnotherapy, a best-selling author and international speaker, a success coach, and renowned authority on the law of attraction. She has dedicated her life to empowering people all over the world to successfully live a life of liberty, aligned with their dreams through her effective meditative recordings and online courses. Through her podcast, The Power of Your Mind, she exudes her passion for inspiring listeners with influential guests in the areas of self development, mindset, discipline, and habits, entrepreneurship, wealth, and relationships. And so when you take a look at all of that, you think, wow, you got a big guest here. And we do. And here she is. It is. Where's my button? There we go. It is Miss Victoria Gallagher.
Yay! Oh!
It's there. It's coming.
We've got our live online audience.
Yes. Yep. I didn't realize so many people were listening. I love it.
It's interesting. We get a fair amount of people that watch this broadcast after the fact.
Yeah.
You know, on the West Coast, people are kind of, you know, doing the pilgrimage back home from their day jobs, and, you know, cooking dinner and kids and this, that, and the other. And it's like you usually see a lot of comments and stuff come in a day or a few days later.
I love it. Well, I will definitely be sure to check those out and reply in kind.
And then Shawn has his TikTok followers that he's managing as well.
Yeah, I've got. Oh, looks like Fraser Penman is in the house. Fraser, welcome. Let us know how you're doing over in Scotland, because it's just as late for you as it is for Becca.
Yeah, they're on the same time zone, or do I need to go to the Google for this?
Yeah, no. I would think most of England and Scotland would be on the same time zone.
Yeah, I think the entire United Kingdom will fit within the confines of Washington State, or at least Washington and Oregon.
Yeah, it's if there's any one area that I think might be different, it might be Ireland. So it might be a little bit closer to us.
Still, they're the Arizona of the UK.
They don't do time zone.
I don't know. I would be like, well,
Saskatchewan. We're the only ones in Canada that gave up on trying to figure out why in the heck we even started doing that in the first place. So
yeah,
we said, that's it. So consequently, when everybody else moves their clock, it still changes for us. So we fluctuate between 2 hours behind Eastern, which is what we are now, to an hour behind Eastern, which is what we are most of the winter. So all it really affects is when our hockey games are on. So,
well, it actually affects us much more than I thought that it would. When I moved here, I thought this isn't even going to be a thing anymore. But it's like actually 3 times as much of a thing, because we're like the only ones that don't. So it's like, you know, my coach calls are, you know, now 2 hours behind versus 3 hours behind if I'm, you know, doing somebody in the East Coast. So it's weird.
Hang on here. I'm just replying here because we've got a few people. We got a few people in the chat. You're quite popular.
Yay!
Are you looking at your TikTok chat?
Yeah.
Okay. And yeah, we've got Victoria's website.
Victoria's website up there.
Up on screen.
Maybe one of the things that we could actually start with, though, because I know we used to rib Jim about this quite a bit.
But Victoria's not bald.
I'm not what?
You're not bald. You have all your hair.
No, I mean,
I'm the one that carries don't get me wrong. I'm in good company.
I'm the one that carries on that tradition. No, I'm actually talking about the fact that Victoria actually has a working app.
I do. Yeah, an actual working
wait,
app.
Hold on a second, Victoria. Android and Apple iOS compatible?
Yes. Soon to be web compatible.
Oh.
No, that's a little ways off. I don't want to get people too excited on that. But yeah, definitely. Well, because, and I don't know if you know much about, you know, coding, but, you know, when you build an app for over 2 years, you sort of almost become a quasi coder. And so the app was built in React Native. So that basically means that you're building both versions at the same time. and with a few exceptions, some of the things don't work the exact same way across the platform. So then you have to make these little custom changes. But for the most part, 90% of the work is done one time rather than two times.
Mm-hmm. And Becca says, "Yay for Apple! Further evidence that she's joined the Apple cult."
Yeah, I have to say I have a strong affinity for my Apple iOS users. Nothing against my Android users, but I just get a lot more love from my Apple users. So Android users, you guys gotta come up with some more love. I know when I'm talking about love, I'm talking about the reviews. Like Android is like 1 star or 5 star. There's no star in between. And like literally the only
Because it either works or it doesn't.
And it's never about whether it works. It's always because we have
like
about
operator error.
we have about 50 absolutely free pieces of content that you never ever have to sign up for a free trial or anything for. Free. They're just like, we're giving them to you. These are like the same products that on my website I would charge $29 for. Giving those to you for free on a silver platter with no obligation to sign up. But because we do offer a premium subscription, which entitles you to get access to all 1,000 sessions in the app, people are like, I'm not paying for this app. 1 star.
Oh God. Yeah. It's at 1,000 sessions.
Yeah. Like over 1,000. And there's no other app that's like.
And what's how long is a session? About 45 minutes, 30, 45 minutes, maybe an hour?
They're roughly 25 to 30. I do try to keep them under 30 minutes.
I guess help define what a session is. Is it like a hypnosis recording? Is it a kind of a video recorded lecture or speaking portion?
So these are most of them. So I do actually have some videos in there, and I do actually have some courses in there as well. But most of the content is audio recordings. So they're audio hypnosis sessions that are, roughly 25 to 30 minutes. Now I have, just because I've checked out the other apps and I've seen like what people like, and I've asked people what they like. So I have actually started creating things that are really quick. And even just for me, like sometimes I don't have a half an hour to, listen to a session, and I am trying to keep my streak. So I've made like little, 3 to 5 minute sessions, some 15-minute sessions. So there's like now a pretty good variety in there.
So you can kind of tailor to fit whatever little bit you've got. So it kind of takes the excuses out of, I was running late for a meeting, so I couldn't do this because I didn't have the full 30 minutes.
Yeah. And there's even a meditation timer in there. So even if you wanted to keep your streak going, because like right now I'm on like day 425 or something like that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So if you wanted to keep your streak going, you didn't have like a whole 5 minutes. You can literally just do the meditation timer for a minute, be honest about it. Actually, close your eyes, meditate, and it'll ding you out of the meditation, and that will count as one of your sessions.
Oh, nice. Yeah. So it's kind of like a almost a version of 75 hard, where you have to go out and read a nonfiction book X amount of minutes a day. You need to be outside doing some sort of cardio, and you got to do that twice a day. Take a picture, and then you can go back and start looking at, okay, here's day 1 versus day 75, and track your progress.
It's like that in the sense that there's a streak to maintain, but the only thing you have to do, you don't have to do any exercise or drink water or all the other, maintain a certain diet.
But you should, right?
There's an element of accountability there.
Yeah,
of going,
definitely.
okay, I did this. I've got my, people track their steps and sleep and whatever.
Absolutely. Yeah, I've got
Okay.
an app to track everything. I track, I've got my Aura ring, so I I
Right.
track all my sleep and my steps, and I was tracking my water quite religiously, but I
Uh-huh.
kind of gave up on that habit. I need to I need
Right.
to incorporate that habit. We're in the worst way because I just do not drink enough water. But it's just like it's like you just turn those little notifications on permanent ignore. Those
Right.
ones I just seem to be able to ignore.
Yeah.
It's the water drinking, but all the other ones I pretty much it's like my apps track my whole life.
Okay. No,
I'm
that's
finding that is the case more and more. Where if it's a minor notification, yeah, I'll do that later.
Yeah.
But if it hits my calendar, then I know I got to do it. So
Yes,
mm-hmm.
absolutely. Yeah. Put it on your calendar. And that's the other cool thing is my app, you can set reminders. So it'll literally send you a reminder, say, meditate at 5 o'clock PM or AM or, whatever times you want to set it for. You can set as many reminders as you want. I didn't mean
Right.
to go on that much about my
No,
app, but it's just like, it's pretty cool. It's got a lot of functionality going on in it and a lot of content.
I mean it's definitely appropriate and valid.
Yeah, yeah.
Because people need to be able to, you know, it takes a little bit to build a habit.
It
And then
does.
you're just
It
going like,
absolutely.
okay, now I don't miss whatever crap scrolling on Facebook or Instagram that I've been filling that time. I'm actually doing something productive. Now I feel better about myself.
Yeah,
Each time that you do something, there's a little victory that you get to have every day.
absolutely. Hey, I see that Becca asked what first interested me
Yeah.
in hypnosis. And so I'd love to answer that.
Yes, please.
So, you know, all right. So I am an OG. I like this was before Google, this was before Yahoo, this was before a lot
Uh-huh.
of things that we know and love today. In 1998,
Uh-huh.
I had been a stockbroker for about 6 years, and in various admin jobs prior to that. But this was like kind of the holy grail, like something I followed in my father's footsteps to do, and I was able to pass my test. I was able to get hired, and I loved this job until I didn't. I just got totally burnt out, and I didn't know why, and I didn't know what to do because I thought I was going to be there like for the rest of my life.
Uh-huh.
And so I actually took this personal growth 4-day seminar.
Uh-huh.
And it totally like woke me up. It was just like my little awakening. And, so during this 4-day, training, we did a lot of closed eye techniques. It was
Okay.
hypnosis. And and I just wanted to be involved in that somehow. I didn't know exactly what it was going to look like, but I just knew that's like, I this is something I want to help other people to experience.
Mm-hmm.
And so I spent like the next year or two like writing these meditation experiences, these visualizations. Um, and I also spent a lot of time trying to drag people into these seminars.
Okay.
And what I realized, it was really difficult to get people to come to these seminars because it was like you can't really explain what goes on there. And
Right.
it sounds like some kind of a cult. And so I said, what if I brought the seminar to them?
Mm-hmm.
And what if I helped create that experience for them? in the comfort of their own home. So I just got this idea one day. I was talking to my boyfriend who owned a recording studio at the time, by the way, lucky me.
Uh-huh.
And I said, I think what I want to do is I want to create one of those websites. Now I say one of those websites because we're talking, this is like 1998. And,
Right.
that like websites were just a couple years old. And I want to create one of those websites, and I want to create these cassettes.
Oh
Where
God,
people,
you're going way back. Cassettes.
yes, cassette tapes. Those are the first media
Right.
that I actually put my content on, and I had about 6 or 8 different albums that people could buy on weight
Becca,
loss.
she's I'm telling Becca, she's talking about in the 1900s.
Yes.
Becca's post 2000 born, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
And
God, that's so last century.
It was so last century. I mean, like, it was a quarter
it's last
century
millennium.
ago.
Yeah, millennium. Yeah,
last millennium. It was a quarter century ago that I birthed hiptalk.com in 1999. And, everybody was kind of like,
oh God, that's when I graduated high school.
Oh, really?
Oh God. Now I feel old.
Yeah. Well, think about how old I was starting my first business. I was already married, owned a house.
Yeah.
And, fortunately and unfortunately, a lot of people, they start these side hustles today. These days you can like work on the side and keep your day job. Well, the kind of business that I was in, the branch manager basically said, you need to make a decision. And so I had to cut all ties to my 6-figure income that I was earning at that time, even way back then, and just start from scratch. And it was like sink or swim. And I literally
at six figures way back when. If you put that into today's dollars, what's that? Probably 300,000-400,000.
It probably would be. I haven't done the
potentially close to 7 figures.
Yeah, I haven't done the back math on that, but definitely it was a good lifestyle. And I just said, and I knew that it would take a little while to build that back up again, because I just had to, and that was the thing too, is I was such what's the important lesson here is not to up and quit your job necessarily, because I kind of felt like I was in a no choice situation. But what happened is the next year and a half of that, time period in my life, I struggled. I actually really struggled. And it was because I was such a newbie when it came to, like, I just like learned all this stuff and I'm like, yeah, I'm going for it,
Right.
And I had a really good conscious level attitude about it, but I hadn't done the work to deeply integrate it into my subconscious. And what I had going on in my subconscious wasn't matching what I had going on in my desire, my plan. I just kind of jumped in, head first, dove in, and I, went into my old programs. My old programs were all about work hard, and I wasn't taking the time to do the personal growth work on myself. Like, here I was in the personal growth industry that I loved so much, decided to make a career out of it. And yet, what did I do? I went into a fight or flight response. I'm like, I've got to hustle. I've got to make money. I've got to figure this out. I've got to build this business. And I was not taking the time to like actually kick back, kick my shoes off, relax, and program my mind, which is
Yeah.
actually so much easier than the hustle
Mhm.
and grind. But I wasn't doing it. And so I put myself through this struggle until I ended up having to file bankruptcy. And then it was like a wake up call. And then it was like, oh,
Yeah.
so now we're in 2000, 2001. And that's when I kind of realized, wait a second, what are these people buying from me?
Yeah.
What is this business all about? I think I need to now start to take some of my own medicine for a
Yeah.
change.
A good friend of mine, he's probably one of the smartest people that I know. He's in wealth management, and so he owns his own firm, um, very very successful, and he got into the insurance and finance industry in like 2006, early 2007. So like the worst time to jump into that, and instead of laying off people, he burned through 100 and some odd $1,000 of personal savings just to try to keep people employed. Lost everything. He had to go through his bankruptcy, and then he turned everything around, and now he's pretty much nationwide, and it's all referral business. But
Yeah.
you know it's it's not an it's one of those things where you really can't be successful without having a reputation and making a name for yourself and having some success with clients, but you can't get clients without clients. And
Yeah.
so
That
you're
is the
kind of in
hardest
that
part. Yeah.
conundrum. And so you really have to go, it's really, how do you present yourself?
Right.
And you rely on your knowledge, skills, and abilities, and uh, both resourcefulness and resilience.
Yeah,
So like
absolutely. Oh,
and they say that you take people who are millionaires, you say, here, we're going to take everything away from them, and chances are within a year they're going to be back to being a millionaire again, because they know what to do, and they're not going to be like, okay, well, they fail forward, here's what didn't work, here's how we're going to avoid this mistake again and mitigate this risk, versus people that are like, well, that was unfair, and I'm going to now go make the same 5 mistakes all over again. And
right. Well, and conversely, when somebody like wins the lottery, most people that win the lottery, they haven't trained their mindset to be able to keep the money, because it's not just about making money, it's about keeping the money. And most people are broke after a massive windfall like that, because they don't have the mindset of a millionaire or
one they're
somebody
one they're
rich.
taking they're likely taking the lump sum
Yeah.
rather than the 20-year payout, and then they're not putting that into forming some type of a LLC or incorporation, or even multiple, a holdings entity, here's something else, and getting out and saying, okay, now how can I take my write-offs, how can I invest my money? And you don't invest to get rich,
Right.
you invest to recreate that recurring income so that you can stay rich, and keep from getting taxed. And people go out there, oh, we're gonna make the rich pay their more taxes and this, that, and the other, and it's like, well, they're already paying a fair share of their taxes, but they're taking advantage of, hey, we're providing jobs.
Mm-hmm.
And I would look at hypnosis as going, you have a platform, one, to improve someone's life and make a difference. So right
Yeah.
there, you're getting two birds stoned at once. But then if you go, I need a web design person. I
Yeah.
need someone to help with marketing. I need a bookkeeper or an accountant. I need an attorney to draw up contracts and keep me from getting sued. Maybe some copyright or trademark stuff. By going out on your own, you're creating an avenue where, hey, now I've created 10 new jobs.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, I have like my designer, my virtual assistant, my audio guy, my web developer,
You let them go be awesome at what they do, take stuff off of your plate, which you then don't have to be the highest paid student of, oh, how do I do this? But you still have to know a little bit about each different thing to know that you're not getting taken advantage of or engage in the learned helplessness.
That is so true. I agree. I think you need to know a little bit. With me, I kind of know a little too much to be dangerous, because I just went in and I mean, I had no money after a while, and I just went in and um, I mean, I was creating my first website in Dreamweaver.
Wow.
And,
that goes back a minute.
yeah. I mean, that was well before there was ever such a thing as a WordPress or any of these other, types of, websites where everything's a template. There wasn't even you had to basically learn how to make your own template. But I mean, I remember the days when I, I was literally, if I wanted to create a new page, I had to create all the links on the side and at the bottom and the footer and everything for that one page. And it was insane.
Mm-hmm. No, that's that's kind of nuts.
Oh,
how they've streamlined things.
Now it is, yeah.
Oh yeah. Plus I printed out so then of course eventually cassettes quickly evolved into CDs, and I had my whole, 10
those are
CD
stupid cheap
tower.
to CDs, DVDs. Those are stupid cheap to produce now.
Yeah, they are now today. Back then I had my CD burners, my my tower with my CD burners and my my printer, and that was the first thing that I let go of. When I decided okay, I've got too much. For me to create a new product, it's way too much work. I've got to create the artwork. I've got to create the web page. I've got to, do this, do that, do that. So the first thing that I did, and this is not even relevant anymore because I don't even deal with any.
If I pay someone $500 or $1,000 to reproduce stuff that I can use over and over, while I'm now working with my marketing person to book 3 shows.
Yeah.
Well, God, I'll pay $1,000 if it frees me up to make $10,000 or $12,000.
100%.
I'll take that, even if you cut it in half. I'll spend $1,000 to make 5.
Right.
And I'll do that all day, every day. And if you can, at the end of the day, if you can have more revenue coming in than you have liabilities going out, you'll be fine.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, that's one of the first lessons, I think in business, that people need to start to think a little bit more like an entrepreneur and not do everything themselves, because it's just there's a limit to the amount of time that you have. And that was one of the things that I saw going in. I didn't actually go into this to become a one-on-one hypnotherapist to, see, 8 or 10 clients a day. I didn't ever want to be that bogged down or that busy, even though I am busier than that, just doing my own thing. I always just wanted to create, I do see clients and I do love, seeing clients, don't get me wrong, but there's nothing like creating a product that tens of thousands of people are going to listen to and get benefit from in in the space of 1 hour of the same time that I'm changing one person's lives. I'm able to take 1 hour of my time and change, tens of thousands of lives with that one program. So which is more appealing?
That makes so much sense. It's almost like it's too easy. And so now you do hypnotherapy as well, correct? Is
I
that
do. Yeah.
that's kind of your main jam versus any type of stage work? Is that correct?
I have never, well, except for that one with
Mm.
our dear beloved friend,
Mm.
Jim. I've never done a stage hypnosis session in my life. I did the one with him, and it was like, bless his heart, like he kind of saw the glimmer in my eye one day, and he knew that like just wasn't something I was going to do on my own. I wasn't going to pursue that on my own, but he knew that I kind of wanted to be on stage and do the stage thing.
Right.
So that was our last interaction together.
Yeah.
Was that stage show that he let me be a part of, which I'll just always, remember. That just, really touches me. And there was more that would come after that. We
Mm.
were, planning to do more of those shows, but you know
Now
that
you're here in Washington State, correct?
no,
Oh, okay.
no.
Where are you based out of?
I'm in Phoenix. I'm in
Oh,
Phoenix.
okay, okay. That's where I was like, okay, same time zone. You guys are on the same time as us, and then Jim was kind of splitting his time down there.
He
Um,
was, yeah. Yeah, it
yeah,
was a show in a place called Peoria, or no, not Peoria. It was in Anthem. It was a show in Anthem here,
right.
and um, yeah, and then I met up with him a couple of times up in Washington because I had family up in Washington as well. So
Okay, so
a
you're up here semi regularly or a couple times a year.
few times a year. Yeah,
Okay, no, that's
yeah.
awesome. Yeah, it was definitely rough with Jim's passing, and but
It was
I
so
I
sad.
I take a lot of, I mean, super unexpected for everybody. But I take a lot of comfort in, like performing Hypnosis Summit this year was, uh, I keep going back to like how awesome it was, and even dare I say therapeutic for me, and I'll take the liberty of speaking for a lot of other people, that for others as well,
Yeah.
and seeing how much joy he brought to other people, how he influenced and made a positive impact in his life. And then, by default, my own selfish stuff is I got to meet a ton of just absolutely wonderful people who have been nothing short of reaching out. How can I help? How can we collaborate? How can we work together? And just, not nothing but love there.
Oh, I mean, he was a special person. I mean, he was, just so humble too. And to me, like his talent and his
Humble my
being,
ass. He kept bragging about how Taylor Swift was chasing him and his own personal jets and sending pictures all the time. But no, he was a wonderful, wonderful man.
yeah, yeah. Um, no, just, like I did, but I really felt like, he was more than he realized that he was,
Oh,
and
for sure.
He was a connector of people, no question.
hmm for
Um,
sure.
and I
And
know he was more interested in everybody else succeeding because he
sometimes to
knew
his
that was going to
detriment.
help him. So
Oh,
And he did, I found this way after the fact, and this is not to toot my own horn. This is really just to say something amazing about Jim. But like he promoted people, he was just constantly promoting people. And like this was after his death. I just was going on to my Amazon reviews,
mhm.
and I came across this video that he made. He never told me about it. It was a
Yeah.
5 or 6 minute video talking about my book and all the uh, highlights and the stickies and everything. I mean, he's just going through it like he never told me about this this thing, this beautiful review that he did. You would think like, hey, I left you a nice review, you might want to check it out. No, he just of his own accord, not prompted, just and
And
of course he never got to be thanked for it.
and kind of a brief segue on that note, the Facebook posts that you see on Jim's Facebook page,
Yeah.
those are pre-scheduled.
Yeah,
Shawn
I
and I
know.
have been working diligently. We have still not found out the source of where those are. So
It's the
we,
ghost of
we,
Jim.
we've been getting, I've received a couple of messages going, Brian, this is getting a little weird. Now it's getting a lot weird. So I
I
know
figured it was something like that.
No,
regardless of anybody's spiritual or religious beliefs, we'll just say from the other side, I know Jim is just laughing his ass off right now.
Of course. Of course.
so we've
Definitely.
got a few people on TikTok and Benito who actually performed a fair bit with Jim. Opening for him mentioned that 100% Jim was amazing. Uh, he was, and Victoria, you're absolutely right. He was a connector, but he was also a promoter. Like I said, he was so interested in everybody else succeeding, and I
Yeah.
think that's one of those things that absolutely endeared him to all of us, was that he was interested in us, each of us, and collectively, yes, the success of hypnosis in general. Yeah, I'm sure that was, his big goal was, I think, to touch 1 billion people with hypnosis, and I'm glad he kind of put that in there, because touching 1 billion people probably isn't a good thing.
Yeah.
That was
Context.
that's a Jim joke,
Yeah.
right? but because he was interested in our success, he worked hard to help us succeed. He left you
Yeah.
that review you talked about. I also know he was your co-host for many episodes of your podcast.
75 episodes. I went back and counted.
Oh God.
75. And he willingly stepped up to that. I had just decided, the show's taken on many formats. It was just me for a little while, then I was interviewing, people, and then I'm like, oh, then I'll just be, and I'm like, no, I think I want to do a co-host. Like, I think I want to be the star of my podcast, but I need somebody to kind of play off me. And so I just put a Facebook post out one day, and he was the one that raised his hand. I'm like, what? Like, what? Why would you want to do this for me? Like,
Yeah.
but okay, sure, this would be awesome. And I mean, we had the best, most downloads. He promoted the show, but he made it all about me, and like it was, but yet because he did that, it just was reciprocated, because I know he benefited. We both benefited from it. It was a very mutually beneficial relationship, and we just got
Mhm.
to know each other. And, and then there just kind of came a time, coincidentally, where I'm like, now I think I want to just go back and just, do it solo again. I'm all over the
Right.
place when it comes to this podcast. It just changes faces all the time. But yet, because we had formed this relationship, I mean, do you know how much time you have to spend together to produce 75 podcast episodes? We spent a lot of time together. And it's not just like, okay, well, let's just start the podcast. No, I mean, we had deep, ethereal, meaningful conversations with each other before and after. I mean, these were 3 hour, sessions week after week. So we really, formed a pretty significant relationship and really got to know each other. And so then we decided to kind of like, we're not going to do the podcast together. We're just going to do some accountability stuff with each other, And so that was like our last little bit of where our relationship was. It's like, we were doing some little, coaching, friend accountability stuff with each other. So I really deeply knew and what he was struggling with, what he was really good at but didn't acknowledge, and it was just like it was a really, really genuine friendship. And he was just so
And
supportive.
I'm chuckling because you said, "Do you know how much time it takes to put in 75 episodes?" And the expression on Sean's face said every bit of "Hold my Star Trek uniform."
Right.
I think
Yeah.
we're actually pretty close to that right now, Brian. I think if I go back and I count the number of episodes that are listed in our lives, we're sitting around that 60 to 70
But
episode range. And yeah,
Jim
you're
was
absolutely right.
good though. He was a sly one. He was, "Hey Brian, you want to come on the show?" And I do this Friday Night Live. That's what he did back when he first started. And he goes, I'd like to interview you." Okay, cool. Talk about your experience with training and kind of just tell your story. Yeah, sounds good. So we're just kind of chit chatting, watching some comments come in, answer some questions. Here's Brian's thoughts on life as in general. And then that turned into, "Hey man, like that was really fun. You did a great job. You want to come on next week and we can probably interview somebody else?" And then I Forrest Gumped my way, tripped, stumbled, and fell. And all of a sudden I'm like, "We're doing this every Friday night." And then all of a sudden, "Hey, we're gonna interview Sean. Hey Sean, you wanna help out with some of the technical stuff?" And then Sean goes, "Oh God, no, I'm pulling all the rest of my hair out." And um and then Jim just up and is like, "Oh, I got drafted to the big league, guys. You're on your own." Um, so it's funny how life works.
Yeah, it really is. And here we are, he touched us, all three of us, in the podcast world. And, here we are together having our first having our first podcast together, just the three of us.
Yeah. And I kind of chuckle because another hypnotist um reached out to me and said, "Hey, I'm performing a lot and I want to, I need a little bit of help with kind of the social media side of things, posting some videos, getting some stuff with trainings and everything like that." And he's like, "I don't know how you did it, but people seem to think that you know what you're doing." And I'm like, "Well, that at least makes one of us." And like it started as being a guest and then it just snowballed. And what I'm able to bring to the table is I can kind of offer a viewpoint from both the performing side, because I've done a number of shows with Jim. I've also been the student, and to an extent still am very much in that context. But then I'm also the layperson as the customer,
Hmm.
because Jim worked with me, and I've told this several times, like, without rehashing all of that, like I'm able to have this conversation with you guys because of Jim, because of Nora, and because of Dan Hedrick. They worked with me on just dealing with some of the challenges that I had, inside here and inside here, and heavily influenced by military service and garbage leadership and stuff like that. So my goal in carrying on all of that is I want my success to show each and every person that has assisted me or made some type of an investment in me, that their time wasn't wasted. It was an
Yeah.
actual, and then if I can pay that forward and inspire the next group of people, and it's not like, oh, just go help every single person that's out there, going, okay, do you have the ability and the means to do it? And is this person, if you're giving them the assistance or offering the help, are you enabling somebody of just, here, let me do it for you? Or are you legitimately helping them step up rather than just keep putting a band-aid on a gunshot wound, that they're going to go out and make the
Mm,
same mistakes over and over again?
yeah.
And I would rather work with people who are going to go fail forward Elon Musk and SpaceX. Hey, we blew up 5 rockets. Well, we know what not to do. Let's keep
Right.
doing something different until we figure out what works.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I like what you're saying there, that you want to like not have the time that other people invested in you to be done in vain. You want it to, and I mean, you invested that time in yourself as well, the time and the money and the energy. You want to pass that along, to other people so that they now, you're not giving them a fish, you're teaching them to fish and
Yeah.
helping people to stand on their own 2 feet. And I think that's beautiful.
Yeah. And sometimes you can do both. Here, let me give you a
Hmm.
fish so that you can be hungry. You're not hungry, you can be fed. But then at the same time, while we're eating, let's go fish and, teach you how to do it, perfect your craft.
Hmm.
Now you're self-sufficient and proficient there. And, I was kind of reflecting in the last couple of minutes, and it kind of dawned on me the last show that Jim and I did together was an adult birthday party. So it was sort of like, hey, we want you guys just go full beans. And, we pretty much the only ask is we want to just maintain everybody having their clothes on. Everything else is on the table and whatnot. So that was one of the weirdest shows, funnest shows. And that was the one where we got tech tip of the week of make sure you press record, not just camera on.
Oh, okay. I remember that.
And that was the night that um instead of being with my family and my younger brother celebrating my father's life after his passing, my stepmom was like, no, she gave me some garbage excuse of why I couldn't be there. But that was the night that we were able to have that. And so Jim was like, hey, this is on the books, and we had planned for it. But then when it was like, hey, if you need to go home for this, like, that's no problem. I can do it myself. But doing that last show with him, having fun, and then just kind of being able to let a couple of things out and share with him. And he was like, yeah, dude, you're not crazy. Super therapeutic, super supportive. And he really didn't say a whole lot. It
Hmm.
was just him being a friend.
Yeah.
And then come full circle, I fly into PHS this year, 2025, on the 1 year anniversary of my father's passing, right after we lost Jim. And so I get to the hotel, run up the escalator. I run into Grant Saunders, and it was just like, all right, man, here comes big hugs. And we're just going to start crying and tearing up. And, it was just the start of, God, and an absolutely unbelievable yet exhausting trip.
Yeah.
And I remember uh, it was after the last day. Um, there was, an invite to the Golden Knights hockey game, and it was box seats. And then we're gonna go do a couple other things. I'm sitting here going, I'm standing in luxury box seats with professional athletes. I've got a game jersey that came with my ticket because somebody offered it. I'm
Wow.
with a handful of just wonderful hypnotists. And then, I'm kind of sitting there going like, this is really powerful. Fast forward a couple hours later, I'm standing on the top of the Mandalay Bay Hotel, looking out over the strip. The best iPhone camera in the world does not do the view justice. And I'm
No.
sitting here going, a couple years ago, if you told me that I was, out of a job, behind on rent, this, that, and the other, and it's like, you're going to be standing in a VIP suite and doing all of this stuff, I would have told you you're on drugs. But looking back and how much my life was able to change and be better in such a short period of time, and through Jim and the other folks that I mentioned, their help, it's my, I can't, I can't help but go, look, do some hypnotherapy, do some hypnosis stuff, get off the prescription meds and all of their side effects. Now, if you and your doctors have said like, look, you really need these prescription meds, take their advice, but you've got other options rather than just medication.
Oh, absolutely. That is such a beautiful story. And it's such a testament to, well, to Jim, but also just to the power of the mind and hypnotherapy. I mean, I'm just of the opinion, and I wouldn't be doing this work if I believed otherwise. But I just honestly, I think your personal growth, your mindset, your
Mm-hmm.
emotions, your personal growth is the number one priority, the number one thing that you could possibly invest in. People think that it's too expensive, to, invest. I mean, people go and spend, money on Netflix. They go spend money on, um, you know, uh, crazy things. Coffee. I mean, it's not that coffee is crazy, but I mean, people spend all kinds of money on all kinds of things. We have choices,
Oh,
but the
I
number one,
I ran into that in the insurance world. I'm like, you'll
yeah,
buy the insurance for your iPhone in case the iPhone doesn't come home.
yeah,
You'll insure your vehicle because one, the state requires it, and two, if the vehicle doesn't come home. But you've got a mortgage, you got a wife, you got kids. What are they going to do if you don't come home?
right,
And you're telling
yeah.
me, $100 a month? You'll spend more on that on your cable subscription or Hulu or whatever it is, and your Starbucks coffee. If you're Grant Saunders and you need to have a latte before you have a latte that supersedes the latte, it's going to be a lot
Right.
more. And Grant, get better, buddy. Heal up. But it just boggled my mind how people's priorities are so far out of whack.
Exactly. I mean, it's like without your mind, without your body, without your emotion,
Mm-hmm.
and all of the things that hypnotherapy helps you to improve, sharpen, deal with, I mean, process, like, and look, I mean, we're all going to go through something. We're all going to go through some hard time. And, what kind of mindset do you have in order to, get through the worst of the worst? People are going to like lose their jobs, or people are going to lose their spouses, they're going to lose something in their health, they're going to lose people.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to train your mind to be able to, I mean, look, like in the last 2 months, I lost my beloved cat, I lost my mom, and I just underwent hip replacement surgery in 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
And these are the, wow, like heartbreaking, horrible experiences. I mean, the hip replacement, it's going well, but it wasn't going so well, and if I didn't have the kind of mindset, if I didn't have, the ability to go to a different place, if I didn't have the ability to process my emotions, to um, do if I had not done the 25 years of work that I've been doing on myself, if not more, I don't think I would have gotten through this as well adjusted as I did.
Yeah, so real quick, throw in the comments. Let us know your vote or your prediction. Is Victoria a friend or a frenemy? We'll get to that in a little bit. And Shawn, I've got competition. My job as a co-host is going to be uh, potentially slowly taken over by somebody younger and far better looking than me. But I can tell Beck has been paying attention because she's thrown out like every question that I usually try to ask. But it's a great question, and Becca, awesome for your participation. Keep it up. She's asking, do you have a memory which stands out from helping a client that really just I I would add to that, going like where it just you clicked it and go, or something clicked and you're just like, all right, yeah, this is why I do what I do.
Yeah, well, I can tell you, I mean, there's so many, and it's always hard, like to pick the
Obviously
one.
without confidential
Naming names.
details, but yeah.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go one of the first memories that like really proved this to me to the one that was like kind of one of my favorite memories because this is like the ideal thing I want to help people with. So the first one was my very first client.
Uh-huh.
And she was my very, very first client. She actually was a stockbroker client.
Hmm.
And so she came to be my first client. She was 75 or 78 years old.
Oh,
Okay.
wow.
And she had been biting her nails almost her entire life. And so she came in. I mean, I think I charged like $125, at the time for a session. And she came in one time
Hmm.
and she quit and biting her nails right there on the spot after biting them. I something like 60 years or longer, her whole life. Like she had tried everything. And so she was a 78-year-old woman. And how I know she continued to stay quit was I had this little radio show,
Uh-huh.
and people could call in. And so this was like a year later. She had called in, and she's like, hi, this is I can't remember her name because it's so long ago.
Right.
But she was like, hi, this is. I could see her face and I could hear her voice, but just the name escapes me. Um, and she's like, I still got my long nails. And it was just like so inspiring and so touching. And it was just
It's
like,
almost like a family reunion. You're like, dude, I haven't heard from you in forever. That's awesome. I love to hear your success.
yeah,
Uh,
so I loved that because that just like doesn't matter how long you've been doing whatever you're doing. If you have the desire to change, you have the motivation to change. Hypnotherapy just gets that information, to get to the right place to help you to do it.
how,
And
how, how,
so,
how often do you find that the clients that you have, if you really had to just break it down to be like, okay, what's the solution to this equation? That it's really just get the hell out of your own goddamn way.
oh, so much. I mean, people are,
Like,
they're stuck, but they're stuck because they keep saying, I'm stuck. And they keep focusing on the thing that's
yeah.
keeping them stuck. Instead of focusing on what they want, they focus on what they don't want. And that's why, this whole law of attraction manifestation thing. I mean,
Like
it's
if they wanted to
really,
take a direct flight into Las Vegas for a convention, and all they have to do is just get on the airplane, go through customs, and meet up with friendly people on the other side. Like just go do it.
yeah, but it's their mind
And
that gets in their way. And
all you have
all
to
they
do is
have
get
to do
on the
is just
plane. That's the easy part. The pilots do the rest. And then when you get off the
Exactly.
plane, everybody just follow where everybody else is going to baggage claim.
Yeah, it's so true. And my second one that came to mind because I mean I definitely habit breaking, habit making is definitely part of what I do.
Hmm.
But this one was like really cool. So I had a client. It was kind of like one of those on and off relationships, with this client where she'd come in and do a little work and then wouldn't hear from her for a while. And then she'd come in and do a little work and then I wouldn't hear from her for a little while.
Uh-huh.
And so the last time that she saw me, it was a Zoom session. She had a goal of getting certified to become a coach. She wanted to become a life coach, which always means that they're going to graduate from being my client, but that's fine. And because once they become a life coach, it's like, oh, I got this now. But so she wanted to do that for a living, and she was making a good living doing what she was doing. She was in broadcasting at some studio in Chicago, and on top of that, she wanted to move to London and buy a house. So that was a pretty large order.
Yeah.
And we
You're like
made
hocus pocus. Like, all right.
it was a
Hogwarts
large.
University. There you go. By
Now
the
I
power
don't
of
know
Harry
how.
Potter, you get.
I don't know how it all came about, but we did the one session. I recorded it, made a like a custom, recording for her after that session. I gave it to her to listen to. Never heard from her.
Mm,
And then a year later, I was on a podcast with somebody who knew who she was
right.
and said, "Hey, and, and it just reminded me of her." And so I sent her an email. I was like, "Hey, how's everything going?" She's like, "I was literally just getting ready to send you an email. I am sitting here in London, in my house, and I, have my dream job as a coach. And I have the email, like I
You're
could,
like, check and then?
yeah, exactly. I mean, it's like miracles can happen by just, also just visualizing and empowering yourself with the right messages. And, because we all have choices. We have the choice to listen to the voice in our head that says, "This is never going to happen. This is impossible. Nobody's ever done this in my family," or, all the bullshit, stuff that we tell ourselves. Or we
Sometimes
can
it's the
listen to,
voice of reason. my
sometimes it
my arch
can be,
nemesis.
well, and there's always a good, not to put that voice down. It is the protector. It is the voice that's trying to keep you safe.
Mm,
But, we could also choose to say, "Hey, you know what? I'm a big grown up. I'm a big girl, boy, whatever. And I'm going to listen to this direction. I'm going to listen to my Tony Robbins voice in my
right.
head. And I'm going to empower myself and I'm going to allow myself to succeed and go big and do the things that I've always wanted to do." And we all, there's no one that doesn't have access to this. There's no one that this doesn't work for. It's just a
Mm.
matter of allowing yourself to believe.
So, Jeremy Garson, forgive me if I
Hmm.
mispronounced, uh, says I'm trying to visualize to lose weight and enact positive career change. So, Jeremy, if you're willing to share what type of career you're trying to transition from and into, let us know if there's any way we can help with that. We'd love to be able to do that.
Yeah. And I'll take a little bit of that on. So I just recently lost a bunch of weight. I lost 35 pounds before I had my surgery because I wanted to make sure that, my healing would, go very well. So I come from a family of sheer obesity. So, like, pretty much everybody in my family, 500, 600 pounds or dead.
Oh wow.
Um, yeah, so I'm 126 pounds. I was 123 the other day. I'm trying to get back there again. But, but I was 160, several, about, 6 months back. So I know a lot about this. And of course, speaking as a hypnotherapist. And, the thing is that number one, what I focused on was not losing weight.
Uh-huh.
And number two, so I focused on like, what do I want to look like? You want to have some kind of very specific parameter that you're
Mhm.
aiming for. It could be just, what do you look like? Where are you going? What are you able to do now that you're in the body that you want to have? What does the scale say? I do personally like to use the scale as a measuring stick. That doesn't necessarily work for everybody. It could be a size pants that you want to be in, but you want to focus on what you do want, not that you want to lose weight, because the mind has a tendency to find whatever it loses. So I only use that word just to explain what we're talking about, but then I get off of it and
On that note, is there ever a time where it's almost like massage? You go, "Hey, I'm having numbness and tingling in my arms," and it's like, "Yeah, because your neck is all tweaked and whatever." Where it's like, "All right, let's take care of it right here," and that sorts everything else out elsewhere on your body, where it's not, I've listened to different things, and I've heard Jim stories where he says, you take somebody who's 100 pounds overweight, he goes, you're not going to make them run 5 miles. You're going to be like, I want you to get up and I want you to go for a 5-minute walk.
Yeah.
I want you to start somewhere. And as
I
long
thought
as
you were going to use kilometers.
5 kilometers, I can take 3 steps and it's like, oh, there's 5K.
Yeah.
But it's,
well, I like that thinking too.
It's taking the habits and going, we want movement.
Yeah.
Physical activity, something that just keeps you from being stagnant and giving your thumb a workout, changing channels or clicking a mouse, scrolling the next thing on social media, and just being a lazy slob.
Right.
Because I would imagine that a lot of people go, I should be doing something. I'm not. I failed. I'm worthless. I'm resenting myself. I'm now depressed. And it's like an airplane. They stall one side of the wing and they go, I'm trying to pull up, and they create that death spiral, and they just go down and down and down, when all they need to do is go, look, opposite rudder, push forward on the stick, get some airspeed, now control the plane and don't panic. They're focused on immediately, microwave results. I want my dream body in 30 minutes or less, or it's not worth doing.
Well, that's the other thing too that I noticed, and I've noticed it because I put the weight on and off, several times. So number one is
actually, real quick, Mark Burris, thanks for joining us. Good to see you.
Hey, Mark. Hey, Mark.
And,
I know Mark.
And then Jeremy says this is very helpful to visualize the parameters and the type of lifestyle that comes with weight loss. So
yeah.
Awesome. Hold on. Somebody says, Mark says, stop me from ordering pizzas at 1 p.m. Mark, put the pipe down. Say no to drugs.
Right.
the laser lettuce is not for you. But no, continue, Victoria, please.
One of the things that I noticed just with my own personal situation was that, so when I was 160 pounds, it felt like, oh, I'm not going to be happy until I hit 124, which was my goal weight. And that felt like that's a long way away. But here's the thing. What happens is that when you hit 155 or 150 and you take off a little bit, you actually start to look and feel better at that point. Like you're no longer so far away from it. So when you chunk down the the goal and you just start to think in terms of like, okay, I want to be by the end of this week, I want to be 158, and then am I 158? Did I succeed? Great. If I didn't, then what do I need to do to to tweak that? Because it's always diet or exercise. It's always this combination of both. Like it's not, you do have to get the mindset. The mindset just helps you eat the right way and exercise the right amount. Like there's no other magic bullet in between. Like you're not going to lay down and hypnotize yourself so that you can eat ice cream all day long and sit in a chair and watch soap opera. It's just the mindset to get you to be motivated to do the right thing. And so the other thing too was the other specificity that you want to do is you want to be very specific. Like, what am I willing to do? Like, am I, for me, it was like, I gave up alcohol. I love to drink. Okay. I love to drink. But I gave up alcohol because I knew that was keeping on a little bit of the weight. And so I gave up alcohol. I I said I'm having a chicken salad every day, and I just like it was a really boring diet. Like literally, it was like yogurt and chicken salad. How much yogurt and chicken salad could I eat in one day?
You're like,
But that was it.
I stopped being a foodie, and this is just now fuel to live.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, exactly. And I am not having anything outside of these, foods
Mhm.
until I achieve, you know, my point of success. And that was just, I don't necessarily advocate that that is what everybody else needs to do, but that's what worked for me. But that's what my specificity says.
It,
What are
and
you committed to?
and it makes sense because when they say communication is only effective if it's clear, well, you also need to be honest with yourself and clear with yourself instead of leaving ambiguity and going, oh well, I'm leaving myself an out.
Yeah.
And sometimes life happens and you just have to go, look, today taking some care of something else is the priority because dealing with this meant, do I keep my house or not? Or
Hmm.
there's something that's big, but then you also have to go back and go, all right, now that I had to reprioritize, there's other things that I have to make my adjustments to figure out how I keep that. It's almost like finance. You go, hey, we had an additional expenditure here. There's only so much budget money. We need to, we might be going out to eat only once this month instead of 2, 3, 4 times.
Hmm.
And if that
Yeah.
means grocery store, all right, we're gonna suck it up. But you keep, like you said, you have to have continuity, specifics, and have a habit, and then even in having reasonable goals. You can say, hey, I
Yeah.
want to go to from point A to Z, but in order to get there, it's almost like reverse engineering. Where do I want to be? What do I need to go to get to that point? All right, in order to do that, what do I need to get here? Then work your way backwards and then go, okay, reverse order march. Let's execute. We've now
Yeah.
just reverse engineered our plan and built our roadmap to our success.
Yeah.
And you can allow people, it's like going on a road trip. If you're going to allow your friends to pull you off in every 5 different directions and keep you off course, all right, you're never going to reach your destination.
It's so
Yep. If you
true.
don't know
And
where you're going, any road will get you there.
Yeah.
yeah, and here's the other thing too that a lot of people don't understand that you're going to contend with, and you have to set really clear boundaries with other people because like food and drink is a celebration and everybody wants to celebrate with you.
Mhm.
And everybody wants to give you reasons and excuses and justifications for why it's okay this time. Oh, you can, you're doing so good. And so I, really was clear with myself that I wanted to hit my goal weight before all the holidays because then during the holidays I could, partake in all these things, but I didn't. For whatever reason, it just, even though all the math was working out, the biology just wasn't cooperating. And I was still doing the diet, I'm still doing everything. But like the weight just kind of hit a wall. And so
Yeah.
we've got Thanksgiving, guests in town, everybody, like jamming food, trying to jam food down my throat. And it's like, nope, not having it. Christmas comes, everyone wants to jam some more food down my throat. I was like, nope, not having
Or
it.
or or
Freaking
or
New Year's.
or you just let yourself go, look, you know what? I'm going to enjoy some fellowship with my friends and family,
Yeah,
and if I see it on the scale in the next coming weeks, having the confidence of going, yeah, I'll put on a little winter weight, and then now I'm back to,
yeah,
I've given myself a little bit of permission, like a vacation. Now
yeah.
I'm going to go back into operational mode. And the conversation kind of reminds me of a quote from a friend of mine, and I hope not to butcher it, but he says, If you're on a road trip with no destination, you're just a dirty hippie." And it's and it's true, because if you're just aimlessly wandering, look, there's no purpose, there's no direction. You have no life compass,
Yeah.
and you can't really lead unless you have a direction, and you need to have your wagon that other people can hitch to and go, look, this is where the train is going. If you want to deviate left or right, like, that's fine, but if you're going to break off, like, God be with you, and
Yeah.
good luck in your endeavors. We're still friends, but I'm gonna maintain a certain living or circle of friends that is congruent with what my lifestyle that I want to achieve, and my goals, because you're a product of the average of the five closest people that you surround yourself with.
It's true. Yeah. And so you just have to have the discipline to make a new agreement with yourself, because we're always making and breaking agreements. And I think those agreements are really important because they speak so loudly to the subconscious mind, because who you are and yet the actions that you take, I mean, is it's just as much responsible for programming the subconscious mind as sitting down quietly whispering
And
suggestions to the
I had a
subconscious
client. I
mind.
had a client that totally exemplifies everything you're talking about. I worked with her. She was allergic to gluten, and she would just literally swell up if she had any. So I said, okay, well, we'll dial it down. So we use the control room method, and just kind of you control the dial, keep it at 0, everything's good. She went on holidays, Brian, to Mexico. She gets back. I need
there's
your
no
help.
carbs in tequila, I don't think.
I need you. I need your help. I said, what's going on? She said, I fell off the wagon. I said, and she said, the dial's broken. I said, okay, well, let's go put it back together again. And since then, she's been, much better at consciously or unconsciously, setting that dial down to 0 or as low as it possibly can. But yeah, you're absolutely right. It's okay. You fell off the wagon. She didn't quit.
Yeah.
She got back up again and kept going with it. Um,
To
that
err is
that
human.
yeah. So she knew where she wanted to go, and I think you kind of hit the nail on the head, Victoria, when you said it was what I wanted for success.
Yeah.
And until you get that picture, I think for all of us, until you get that picture of what success is for you, in your mind, until you get that straight, yeah, you're gonna wander. You might stumble. You're gonna
Hmm.
try a bunch of different things that probably will cost way more than coming to a hypnotist and letting us help get that crystal clear for you, so that you can run with it. So
And the
Yeah.
beauty
Because
is
I
that
knew for,
the beauty is that you get to set the terms and conditions of your own life. And
yeah.
and the good thing is that, and it's also a double-edged sword. You are going to experience the consequences of every choice that you make. So you can say, you know what, from January through October or mid-November, I'm going to be diligent, rock solid, and you know what? The holidays, I get to take a break and let myself go and enjoy food.
Yeah.
But I'm also going to accept the, the not the repercussions, but it's like I'm at peace with, I'm going to
the
put on some weight
consequences.
during, yeah, I'm going to put on or just the results. I'm going to put on some weight, and
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. I'm going to be dressing in winter clothes, and then I also have the confidence that I'm going to, and some people may need that to go, I need to put on that extra weight so that I can January 1, new year, new me, I roll, and, you know, get that motivation to go, charge hard and kick life's ass through the year. But
Absolutely.
giving yourself permission to do these things, it's not, I fell off the bandwagon. It went, hey, you know what? I met my goal and I maintained this throughout the year. Now we're in the off season.
Yeah.
NHL
Yeah.
hockey players will do training camp and preseason. They'll go through Stanley Cup playoffs. They will play with bruised heart and lungs and broken legs and, broken fingers and missing teeth. And then, okay, I'm going to take a couple months off. I'm going to rest.
Yeah.
I'm going to heal. I'm going to go play golf, go on vacation. And then, all right, here's my cutoff date. Now I'm going to start getting back into shape for preseason.
Well, and that's the thing is you get to define the rules of the game by which you're playing, but that's, you want to define the rules of the game and they can be whatever works, whatever's effective, whatever's going to get you to that happy place. For me, I knew that every time I got really close to my goal, something would come up and I would, make an excuse. And it's like, for me, it was just always I'm either discipline on or discipline off. I just know that about myself, and it's like when the discipline goes off, it's really hard for me to get it back again. So I have to play by a set of rules that says, okay, now I know that unless I actually hit this goal, I'm not going to ever hit it. And what I mean is unless I hit this goal without a break, I'm not going to actually hit it. And then I did hit it. I hit it. I got down to 123 and I told myself that if I ever get above 125, which yesterday I did, I got to 126. Guess what I'm doing? I'm going back to salad and yogurt diet for a few days.
Yeah.
Those are my rules.
Even at that, you give yourself a realistic buffer. Hey, not understanding my body weight and everything is going to fluctuate.
Yeah.
A few pounds here or there. And, but it kind of takes me back to a story about my son when he was in elementary school. He struggled with spelling. And I said, hey man, I've got hockey tickets. We're going to be in the corner, row 2. Dad's going to go with you and you get to take any one of your friends. But I need you to get 100% on your pre-test on Thursday because the teacher makes a deal with the class that anybody who aces the pre-test doesn't have to take the actual spelling test on Friday with the rest of the class. They get to go to the computer lab or draw, whatever the case may be.
Right.
And I said, but I need a note, a phone call, or an email confirming this. And he and the teacher was just, and I made the deal in front of his teacher. And we go to his IEP meeting a week or two afterwards. So he comes back and he is just like, Dad, I scored. I'm like, note, phone call, or email. I need one of those things before you get out of school tomorrow. And he is like freaking out, going like, I told her, oh my God. And it's 4:00, 4:30. He's sweating bullets. Dad, no, I swear, hand on a stack of Bibles and, all this, that, and the other. And I'm like, I'm playing along with it. 5:30, 6:30, the phone rings. Hey, Mr. Bay, this is, his teacher. And yep, he scored 100%. He did well. And I'm like, okay, cool. We go to the game. He has fun. We go back and we're meeting. And I said, son, and she's like, your dad's probably pretty proud of you because he was getting 3 out of 20 correct. Maybe.
Wow.
And there was a concern. And so I said, while I'm proud of him, I said, son, I don't think you realize how badly you screwed up. And he gets this and the teacher's like, oh my, what? Crown dad king asshole. And I said, so the teachers are telling me that you and your friend took your spelling test out to recess or your spelling list. You guys are quizzing each other. You're studying hard. I said, you just took away every single excuse of why you can't do it. With the proper application of effort and energy and focus, you can do this. Now, I do not expect 100% every time. I expect you to decent. And he kind of just like this light bulb goes off. And I said, you can do anything that you want. I said, I've already graduated high school. I'm an adult. There's real world consequences. Like, I've got to keep your little monkey ass alive, fed, clothed, and clean. That's my life purpose. And my job is to give you the tools for success, put you in front of the people who are going to mold and guide and be a part of your collective education on life. And I said, so you've got a team of people that are behind you that want the success, but we need your participation. And so that's kind of the thing. And so I'll pop on Becca's comment here. She says that she wants to get herself in the gym but struggle with procrastination, sometimes with a motivation to start it. So Becca, I will ask you, what are some of the struggles that you deal with motivation? Are there any other underlying things? Like for me, I go to the gym, I'm used to having a routine, but I all the different machines and accoutrements, and I'm like, I don't even know where I want to start. And so I kind of would, half-ass it. And now that I'm, wrapping up with car accident stuff, I'm looking at getting back. But what are the things that, first, let's start with Becca. What's the overall outcome that you want to achieve? And what are you struggling with? Is it a time commitment, scheduling, geographic distance, stuff like that? And how can we help get you past that? And then Mark replied that he heard a quote one time that said, when the benefit of the outcome is greater than the current behavior, change happens. And I'll kind of mirror that with a slightly modified version, that the pain of doing what you've been doing is greater than making the effort to change or make a change in your life. That's when change will occur.
Yeah.
So,
Well, we either have to, with our health, we either have to pay for that pain now to avoid the pain of not doing it later.
and that's kind of along the lines of parenting.
Like pick your pain.
Yeah, there's a saying in the legal field, especially like criminal defense, is if you as a parent continue to make excuses to justify your child's negative or inappropriate behavior, one day you will pay an attorney to do the same in front of a judge.
One thing I'll add, though, just as a technique that I like to use with my weight loss exercise clients, is really just to it's very simple. It's just to go to sleep with the whole routine like rehearsed in your. I'm big into mental rehearsal, and so. Just like think about go ahead and set out your gym clothes, set out your shoes the night before. Think about what time you would need to get up if it's going to be a morning exercise routine. Mornings, getting it out of the way is generally more effective for most people. Because then, you're not getting to the end of the day where you've spent all your energy. But rather you're using and creating more energy because, energy in motion stays in motion. So you get that momentum going right away. But anyway, you just lay down, take 1 minute, 5 minutes, visualize yourself, visualize your alarm or whatever mode of wake up call happening. Visualize yourself getting dressed for the gym, visualize yourself being at the gym, and then visualize yourself at the end with the actual way that you want to feel. The whole benefit of how you want to feel. that day, that month, what are you gaining by this? Are you gaining muscle strength? Are you gaining endurance? Are you feeling better? Are you looking at yourself in the mirror? Just visualizing all of those things happening. But especially just the closest thing, the waking up, the actually doing it, and the actual like, yeah, I did it, like, congratulations, go me. And just, feeling that sense of accomplishment of actually getting yourself there to doing it. So that's just my little technique.
Yeah, and Becca says that she answered the question from before. She wants to lose more weight and tone up a little bit. She says she doesn't know why that she struggles with starting things as much, because once she's doing it, she's okay. But uh, you know, starting it is what takes the most effort. And yeah, it's a journey, and the journey every journey begins with the first step. And she follows that up with, and I think it's about scheduling too.
Yeah.
So, the some things that I would probably offer to Becca, first and foremost, Becca, thank you for being able to put yourself out there. Um, I think that by you being able to share, there's other people that are feeling similar ways about themselves. And hopefully that by you sharing, that gives anybody else who's watching this, either currently or later on, the sense that, one, they're not alone in their own struggles or challenges or anything they may be dealing with, but two, that's going to motivate them to make the change, because hey, there are other people out there like me too. But on your aspect is, first, I would probably, well, it would be irresponsible and impolite. Victoria, what advice or guidance would you give to Becca?
So I would, definitely, well, I echo a lot of what you already said.
Hmm.
So I just also want to acknowledge you for, coming out and sharing this, because it does open the, you know, um, ability for other people to share about this. But I also, what is the reason why you want to like lose, like start to actually get in touch with some of the underlying reasons why you want to lose weight. A lot of people just want to lose weight, but why do you want to tone up more? What is that going to do for you?
Are
And
you talking about, like, and I would also probably ask, is there a reason, you obviously know the specifics of your own biomechanics and everything like that. Is it healthy for you to lose weight?
mm,
Is
mhm,
this is
mhm.
it, because there are people that are, 90 pounds soaking wet, and they go, I need to lose weight. And I'm like, no, you need a cheeseburger. Is there something psychological that, like, I'm not good enough unless I'm, super thin? That could be, we want to rule out that there's other uh, things that are going on mentally, but also, what does toning up look to you? Is that just
Mhm.
increasing core strength to correct posture? Um, is it, hey, I want to, focus on, arms or my back, or just to have, strength? Are you into any type of sporting activity, any type of martial arts or something like that? What do those things have? But as far as getting that ball rolling, Victoria, where would you kind of guide Becca to?
So I just kind of harken back to getting the ball rolling is imagining yourself with the at the end, of, what does progress look like?
Hmm.
Like literally, creating that motivation from the end result. So how do you want to feel at the end of your journey? Um, Taking that, back to just tomorrow. How do you want to feel just at the end of tomorrow when you have that, do you want to feel that sense of success, achievement, accomplishment, good about yourself? Like think back to maybe a time when you did work out and you did have that. What was that like? What was the benefit? How did it, how did that make you feel? And tap into that feeling, and go, to sleep with that thought, that image, that feeling, that vibration, in your mind, and let your subconscious mind kind of help guide you to wake up, do it. You also mentioned that your scheduling it, like actually when you physically write it down in your place of existence, your calendar, your phone, any of those things, when you actually schedule it, then you're committing to it. And so that would be my, I mean, there's so many places I could go with that, but that's
Yeah.
a start.
Did we lose Brian?
No, I hope not.
There he is.
Oh, there you are. Okay. You froze for a minute.
Periodically, I'm just going to go. And then
just to make sure we're paying attention.
But no, I think that there's one thing that we've kind of overlooked is, do you really need a gym to go, and not the Kellner type one each, but do you need a fitness facility to actually achieve the goals that you're after? Does something just mean like, hey, I'm going to go on a walk, or I'm going to go on a run, I'm going to do some stuff in the house, whether it's flexibility, Pilates, stretching, any type of just core strengthening exercises? Like, do you really need barbells and dumbbells and just throwing heavy weights? I mean, if you look at a retired Delta Force Sergeant Major, Pat McNamara, he goes, I work out at home, and he goes, I use resistance bands. I can loop them around a tree, post in my garage, I can stand on them, and it's all about targeting the different things. And he goes, you want to tone up and tailor your workout routine to what's your mission, what are your goals? Are you in law enforcement? Do you need that explosive power to do things? Do you just need something for mobility and flexibility to keep from to help fight off arthritis? What is it that you're trying to achieve? And don't be afraid to reach out to your doctor if there's recommendations. But as far as getting going, it's Victoria, like you said, visualize yourself doing it. And I like to use Navy SEAL Rob O'Neill's thing about surviving the Navy SEAL selection process, the 6-month BUDS program. And he goes, don't look at it as surviving 6 months. He goes, I want you to wake up, make your bed perfectly, brush your teeth, shave, make it the first formation on time. There's 3 victories within 45 minutes. Now I need you to focus on, what do I need to do to make it to breakfast? Because you're just going to get beat. Then from breakfast, what do I need to do to go to lunch? Because they have to feed us at some point in time today. Then I have to go to dinner, final formation, get through the rest of the afternoon. We're going to get released. Now, what do I have to do to prepare myself for tomorrow? And then at the end of the day, once you've got all that done, taken care of, now you're going to get back into that perfectly made bed that you took 2 to 5 minutes to properly make. You're going to get the best night's sleep that you can get, rest, recuperate, repeat. And if you can just focus on little slivers at a time, then all of a sudden, before you know it, you're going to go, hey, we're getting ready to graduate. That's how
100%.
Guys survive Hell Week, where they get it. No bullshit. They get 4 to 5 hours of sleep, and over the course of like 5 days, guys are hallucinating, rubbing their feet raw, chafing everywhere, they're bleeding, and it's grueling. And having that mindset of how good is it going to feel to have that success over, hey, I let another day get away. And to anybody that's watching this, I don't want to say like I'm anti-body positivity or body shaming type of stuff. Like if you're unhealthy and you're overweight, you owe it to yourself. Forget your family. You owe it to yourself to live the best life that you can. You have the power to do everything. Don't let anybody else tell you that you're less than anything. There's always room for improvement for anybody. And you're going to be on your own journey. You have the choice to take that first step and better your life, because you have a gift, or everybody in this world has a gift that they need to share, and the world deserves to have that gift shared with it.
I agree. I wanted to address Jeremy's question real quick. And then I thought we would go into kind of a achieve.
Oh, real quick. Vote friend or frenemy. Is Victoria a friend or frenemy? And don't elaborate why.
Yeah, last call.
Okay. But I wanted to take on this because it is actually a question that I had asked myself not too long ago. And so he said weight loss, I think, is easier to visualize than career because it's concrete in terms of, the actions. I mean, like literally, like we talked about, is calories in, calories out. There's a formula that you can follow, and you can, see yourself in actions with, career success. It can seem to be a little bit more big in terms of what specific steps do I need to take in order to get this specific result? It can be. And and then I kind of called myself out on that. And I'm sharing this with you because here I was on my very specific diet, and what I did is I took a lot of options off the table. Now, when it comes to career, there are so many choices and there are so many options. And especially for us entrepreneurs who are multi-talented that can, if you saw my computer and how many tabs are open and how many different little projects I'm working on,
I call that Google latest.
Yeah,
how many windows are frozen up?
And how many are frozen, and how many, like multiple windows with multiple tabs, not to mention my freaking ChatGPT 2 years of history. If you look through there, you would literally see what a,
you have no more memory left in this.
Yeah. All the different options and things I've been thinking about. And what I came up with, and I realized the strategy for one of the many strategies for success in your career is literally taking options off the table. It's the same way I was doing with my diet. It was a recipe, for success with that. And I had a very specific
is it taking options off the table, or is it just eliminating excuses and obstacles?
Well, I think part of it, it's like if you have multiple focuses, if you're saying, okay, I am working on, this business and this business and this business, you are diluting, the amount of focus and attention and energy that can go into any one thing. If you had one focus, now it could mean that you have that one focus could mean that okay, now all of these are the various pieces that go into that one focus, but they all ultimately, one day, because I'm an author, because I have a podcast, because I have this website, that website, the courses, blah, blah, blah. What is the end goal? Where do I ultimately want to put my focus? Is it on these courses? Is it writing more books? Is it, and it's not to say that I'll never write another book again. It's not to say I'm never going to create another course again, but it has to go toward this one goal. And what is the one goal? The one goal is to get 1 million people into my Believe app. You know, that became the ultimate goal. So it's an intention that you set, and everything else is directed with that intention. So it really is about a focus. Now, number 2 is, once you understand what your end goal is, what is your focus, what do you specifically want to achieve, whether it's money, whether it's impact, whether it's time freedom, whether it's, you know, getting to do amazing things beyond TED, you know, talks and stages and whatever. What is that end goal? What does it look like? Find somebody that has done that before and model them. And then if you don't have the skills, the knowledge, the things that go into that, that's where hypnosis comes into play. That's where taking classes, taking courses, that's where learning comes into play. That's where acquiring the skills that it takes. You can be anyone. You can do anything. You can achieve any goal but you have to be specific. You have to be committed. You have to be consistent. You have to have a focus. And too many focuses leaves too many things for you to leave undone and incomplete and fail at. Whereas just having the one, and that you're going to stick to this come hell or high water, you have no choice but to succeed.
Yeah. And, you know, Becca kind of follows up. Oh God, my little cluster of favorite words. You are right, Brian.
Isn't that every man's favorite set of words?
Oh gosh, it's that and some assembly
he
required.
He really doesn't hear it that often.
And it says, she said, I don't think I need to lose a whole bunch of weight. I just get caught up with Instagram and seeing filters and stuff. And that's also kind of it illustrates kind of the toxicity and unrealistic expectations of social media. Is, you know, everyone is beautiful in their own way. And this isn't some kumbaya, you know, garbage stuff, but it goes back to everybody has their own gift, and what they contribute to the world. And, you know, all the cool kids, you know, you look at Instagram and Facebook, I mean, there's lawsuits around going, you know, social media is being blamed for, you know, suicides in middle school and high school, and even sometimes as far as elementary school. And so it's so easy for people to be sucked into a stereotype. Yeah. I know I am never going to be the starting left winger for the Colorado Avalanche. I've accepted that. It doesn't mean I'm a garbage human being. I have love for the game and things like that. But, you know, again, it's setting realistic expectations for yourself. You know, if you want to go shoot for the moon and the stars, yeah, do it. You know, aim high, but also keep your goals super focused. Aim small, miss small. You know, hone in on each little specific thing and eliminate the distractions. If there is something that's in your life that is not helping you achieve your goals, bring happiness to you, and that doesn't include junk food. Don't ever give up bacon, because that would make Jesus Jim upset. But there's different things of, you know, really have a difficult conversation with yourself and hone in on what are those goals that you want to do or achieve. Is it, I want to just be, you know, healthy lifestyle. I want to increase my lung capacity so that I don't get winded going up the stairs. I had to go chase Sammy across the golf course the other day, and I'm like, I am not in this as good a shape as I was when I was younger. This had a little bit of a challenge, but you know, she says, I don't always need the gym. She does a couple of workouts at home, but would like to get herself in the gym too, because, you know, going to the gym, you're, in a sense, you're finding your tribe.
Mm-hmm.
Like-minded
Mm-hmm.
people, they're the ones who are going to push you. Hey, you need an extra spot. All right, 3 more, do 1 more. And those are the people that are really going to encourage and support you. And there's a lot of really positive gym culture out there. Just please, for the love of God, don't be one of those Instagram chicks that video records her ass in the mirror and whatnot, because it's just gives me carpal tunnel. But who said that? Uh, but no, just try not to get caught up in the Instagram stuff. Becca, we're friends. You're a beautiful young woman with a very bright future, and I know you've got a lot of goals and things that you'd like to achieve. So the world is your oyster. Go. You only get one life. Go live it.
I always find too that I think that beauty really, and it might sound cliche, but it really just comes from how you feel about yourself. You
Mm.
exude that energy, you exude that vibration, and people pick up on that. Like you might not instantly find somebody attractive, like the way that you might find somebody else attractive. But then if that person has, something, like a gift that they're exuding, just a special quality that you just know that they're a good person, they feel good about themselves. They change right in front of your very eyes, and they become more, yeah, attractive and beautiful and magnetic. And so I think everyone is beautiful. And I think that's definitely something that, this is definitely one of the qualities they should be teaching people early on in school.
Oh yeah,
Because,
I've been around some absolutely drop dead gorgeous women, but they have a super sense of entitlement. They take no accountability or responsibility for their actions, and they just are like, "Well, I'm cute, and guys will pay attention to me, so just deal with it, and I still get attention." Bah ha ha ha. I'm cute. You should give me whatever I want, and I'm like, you are absolutely insufferable.
yeah, yeah, because the reverse is true too. Like, I mean, you've seen, I've seen men who's like, oh my God, that guy's hot or whatever, and then he opens his mouth and he's not very nice, or, he's all about, looks, or all about himself, or all about whatever. And, same thing with women, whatever, whoever it is. I mean, that,
Yeah,
that can just,
I'd high five the guy, but his hand is too busy patting himself on the back and speaking about how star spangled awesome he is. And,
yeah.
but on the converse, you get a woman who is just she takes care of herself and you know puts in the effort, and it's like, what, you've got a maternal instinct. Uh,
Hmm.
you're there to balance the masculine and have that feminine and stuff, and there's strength in that. And when you're like, I'll kind of go out on a limb and speak for a lot of the guys, like, and this is a decade of family law history and having conversations with men who are going through divorce. It's like, all I wanted at the end of the day is to come home and have my spouse be a source of peace, or be
Mm.
that that sense of comfort. And then the same time, when you're having conversation with women, going, I'd like my guy to be that rock, that sense of strength and security, that I can let myself down. When I have to be the boss at work, I can kind of just go, let me shed that coat and not have to make decisions and be in control of everything. I can just, you know, shut my brain off for a minute and know that I'm still going to be okay.
Yeah.
And, if you talk to, some of my friends have had careers in auto sales, and they go, they're like, I approach men and women differently. Well, the guys, I'm going to start talking about, this is horsepower and 0 to 60 and braking and engine displacement and this, that, and the other. And then when I talk to the woman, I'm going to ask her, how does she feel? Here's the safety stuff. the ratings and airbags and the safety restraints and car seats and the luxurious feel, and listen to the music and how there's no road noise and all the different things, because each men and women have different priorities and what they're looking for that's important to them. And so, you know, there's going to be somebody that you're going to find compatible, whether it's romantic relationships, business partnerships, platonic friendships, and things like that, and even how you interact with your family. It's how you view yourself. You have your confidence. And I tell people, there are times I am not a nice person, but I'm a good man.
Mm-hmm.
If I need to flip that switch and, you know, set my boundaries and stand up to bullies or something like that, I have no problem doing that. But,
So
you know,
funny
rarely do I want
that.
to go tear somebody down.
Earlier today, I literally said those words, like I was thinking them out loud. Like I was thinking, I was thinking in terms of talking to somebody. It's like, I'm not a very nice person when it comes to spammers. I just detest spam with a passion, and all bets are off. If somebody spams me, do not spam me, because you will get the freaking wrath of Victoria.
Oh, I mean, if someone's like
less spammy,
it's like here's a bot, or if somebody's in a group that goes, oh, you know, at everyone or at highlight. All right, cool. You know, I've done that because I want to ensure
Yeah.
that everybody has the opportunity to see something, and I have the ability to scroll by. But when you get the text messages that where it's a bot, and oh, you got a friend request from this brand new Facebook account that's a chick who has nothing but guy friends from various middle ages on up, you know, who lives in a completely different state. It's like, that doesn't pass the smell test. Or they,
No.
hi, I've been trying to reach you and meet your acquaintance, and if you
Oh,
will send me a message, and here's my, send me a friend request. And I'm like, nope, you're
yeah,
gonna,
no.
they're just after your Facebook account.
yeah.
Jeremy says, great answer, especially about narrowing interest and being as specific as possible. I think the thing is, just circling back there, just to tie that off, there is no wrong answer. There's a choice. And whatever you choose, if you find out it's the wrong one, you can always make another choice. You can always choose again.
That's
Right.
true.
So, not to be afraid of taking that step out and narrowing things down and saying, okay, we're going to go this way. And, you know, if it really isn't working out, there is another path, right? There is another thing that you can do. So,
And just because you stop something doesn't mean that you quit. You know, if you've ever, anybody who's owned a dog, when you walk across the yard, sometimes you need to move laterally to avoid the mess.
yep.
Same thing with a minefield in combat. And just because you have to make a lateral, course correction or adjustment, you know, if you find that what you're doing is no longer being productive or yielding fruit, you know, take a step and go, all right, well, I've gotten me this far. Now we need to shift and look at it from a different angle, and now initiate, you know, a different plan, a different phase of this journey of what we're doing. But just throwing up your hands and I give up, that's your failure. And
Yeah.
there's a difference between I quit, I give up, and I need to adjust course.
100%.
Absolutely.
Because
Yeah.
if you've done if you do what you've always done, you will get what you've always gotten.
Tatwadi. That's the way we've always done it.
Let's see. Becca says, speaking of that, Brian, I have another message request come through and need one of your funny replies. I'll send it to you. Oh yeah, Becca, send it. We're gonna. This is probably going to be a potentially profanity laced. We're going to get. Yeah, I've had several female, women friends that, especially like on dating apps, are like, I got a dick pic from this guy, and I'm like, or look at this outrageously horrid, perverted, initial message. And I'm like, oh, hold my beer. And then
Oh,
we
you're
just
the
laugh
guy
at
to
it.
go to. You're the go-to guy to reply to those.
Yeah. I'm like, I do. There's sometimes when a lack of social skills comes in handy, but knowing when to flip that switch is key. Life's
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
about balance.
All right, sir. I think it's time for that question that's on
Oh,
everybody's mind.
will you marry me, Shawn? Shawn's like, I'm not
Well,
going through that shit
is
again.
it legal in your state? It's legal in my country.
Yeah, it's no. Washington State just passed what's interesting, a type of a reparations bill that I think it's like they'll give you up to $100,000 as a down payment for first time home buyers for certain minorities. But also in Washington State, you can identify as whatever you want. So I can be a unicorn, panda bear, furry person, and if somebody says that I can't be that, they're racist. So I'm going to see about buying a house soon. But I'm going to fit right on my application as a self-identifying oppressed woman of color. But no, there's a couple of dark jokes in there. But yeah, well, let's
Dark.
see what I did there.
No pun intended, or perhaps maybe it was.
I plead the fifth. I know nothing. But yeah,
I saw nothing.
question of the night, Victoria. Friend or determine if you're a friend or frenemy. True or false? Pineapple belongs on pizza.
I'm going Jim on this one. It doesn't belong on pizza.
Oh, okay, very good. Yes, you had me worried because you were like, what's the correct answer? And I was like, don't be struggling. Give me an honest answer, please. So,
Yeah, I had a feeling it was going to be that too at the end.
yeah,
I remember he had the hypnosis to help you to overcome your love of pizza with pineapple on it.
That was Bob Martin's interview, and actually, I think we're having him on pretty soon.
Yeah, in 2 weeks.
That was the one where he was like, imagine this, and Jim was like, oh, it started like sounding good. Like, cut the live feed, new phone, who dis? But yeah, it'll be good to catch up with Bob, especially having him on again after Jim's passing. But and on that note, for people that we've had on before, and even if you're just starting out, you have an interest, Shawn, you can put up the link.
I was going to get that last time,
to
wasn't
schedule time. Yeah. And there will be an element of vetting. So if you're just sitting there like, oh, I booked up time just to troll, I don't want to discourage people, but if you're actually one of those trolls that's just being a clown, please don't. We'll handle it on our end and filter everything out. But we've had some wonderful people, and we also want to hear what people are doing since the last time that they were on the show. So we kind of, Shawn, we kind of kicked around the idea of maybe having a couple people that maybe we have somebody on that shares their journey, how hypnosis or even hypnotherapy has impacted their life, and if we can use that as a platform to encourage people to make positive changes in their life. I tell people that's comedy, hypnosis, the stage shows, that's not necessarily like the drug dealer, like, oh, here's the first one's free. But what it does is it's like, if another man can dance with another man and grab his ass and bark like a chicken on stage, that they normally wouldn't do in their normal life, maybe there's something to tapping into the unconscious mind and giving people the the ability to kind of let go and, be silly and funny in an appropriate environment. And I find that a lot of people will come up after a show and they go, what if I wanted to stop smoking or anxiety? Can I,
Mhm.
can you save me from hoarding cats or whatever it is?
Yeah.
And there's curiosity there. And
Yeah. That's a
if just
great opt-in.
if just coming from if just showing people,
Hmm.
here there's something to this. It's not just paid actors that put on a show. um
Yeah.
You
it's
get paid?
it's improv in almost its raw form, where we're like, this isn't even Mad Libs. We don't even know how this is going to turn out. We have a
Yeah.
general idea of skits that we want to do, but sometimes you just get a volunteer and you're like, all right, we're just going to run with this. I'll skip parts of my show to just keep this gold mine churning. But yeah, it's yeah, the link is, let me
It's in
follow the
there.
mouse. Yeah. So you'll work with Shawn to coordinate. And like I said, if you've got a book, you've got any type of success, you know one of our missions in our objectives in this show is to really help people. How do we uplift and support and encourage people to keep being awesome, doing awesome stuff.
Yep, 100%. All right, I'm going to pop that off because I'm going to put up this one here, the all important disclaimer,
Yeah,
before Victoria gets
because we don't want to
started
get
on me.
sued.
Before we start anything hypnosis related, for those of you that are listening or are watching this later, please make sure you are not driving or cooking or doing something that requires your focus on that.
And for the record,
Because
Shawn and I do not have any sort of tangible assets to go after. So
well, this is true, but yeah, no, it's one of those things where we want you to be safe and have a great experience, right? And if you happen to be chopping vegetables, I had that on TikTok. Somebody was actually,
yeah,
and
turn it off
blame her.
now, and it will be there for you to watch when you're done. And please keep in mind, uh, get in a comfortable position, uh, preferably laying down, quiet, relaxed, where you're not going to be interrupted. But do keep in mind that we want you to be out of range of anything hard or that could hurt you, because if you slump over and conk your head, we're not going to know about it. And if we don't know about it, we can't summon help. So please be cognizant of that and govern yourselves accordingly.
Yep. So with that in mind, safety first, and then we will turn it over to you, Victoria.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Well, we've been talking a lot this evening about achieving things, whether they're weight loss, whether they're career success, whether they're getting yourself to the gym. And so I thought we would do an achievement mastery visualization. So you can just go ahead and begin now by making sure that you're in a quiet, comfortable space where you can relax without any distractions. Close your eyes and take a deep breath in, allowing your body to relax with each inhalation and each exhalation. And take a few more deep breaths like that as I'm speaking to you. As you do, just release all tension, all stress that you may be carrying. Every breath, feel your body becoming more and more relaxed. As you continue breathing deeply, imagine a wave of relaxation washing over your entire body, starting from the top of your head all the way down to the tips of your toes in one swoosh. That's right. And you can just allow this wave of relaxing energy to penetrate every muscle, every cell of your body, melting away any remaining tension, or stress. Feel yourself sink deeper into a state of relaxation and peace. Just enjoy this calm and tranquil moment as you let go of any thoughts, any worries. Take a few more moments just to be present in this peaceful space. And now bring your awareness to your goals, your motivations, your intentions, your desires, what you'd like to achieve in this life, in the next month, day, year. Bring that crystal clear into your mind. Visualize this goal, this desire, as already achieved clearly in your mind. Allowing all the details to come into focus. As you bring this goal into focus, take a moment to define all the specific details. What does the desired outcome of this goal look like to you? Visualize it in your mind's eye and describe the specific details that come to your mind. What do you see? What do you hear? What do you feel in this reality? Now imagine yourself standing at the starting point on your journey toward achieving this goal. And just acknowledge where you are right now in relation to this goal. Reflect on any progress you have already made. Appreciating the steps you've taken so far to arrive at this moment. Recognize that this starting point is a new beginning, filled with potential and possibility. And as you stand here, imagine yourself embodying all the qualities and characteristics that support you along this journey. Imagine yourself standing tall with confidence and determination. Feel a sense of clarity and focus as you contemplate the road before you. Take a moment to connect with your intention and your motivations for pursuing this goal. Why? Why is this important to you? And now see the breakdown of each of the milestones and checkpoints along the way toward achieving the ultimate success you desire. What are the next actions or steps you will take now to achieve this goal? And now see yourself as you take each step of progress and move closer to your ultimate success. See all aspects of yourself engaging in these actions in detail. What new habits, what new practices will contribute toward your progress? And continue to imagine all of the small victories, accomplishments, and milestones along the way that mark your progress. See yourself easily and effortlessly achieving each new milestone, enjoying the feeling of achievement and fulfillment. Whether it's completing a specific project, reaching a new level of expertise or skill, or being recognized for your efforts. Embrace all these moments of victory. And as you continue to see yourself achieving each of these milestones, allow yourself to experience a feeling of pride, satisfaction, and joy that arises from each new accomplishment. You feel excited. You feel motivated. You feel that inner drive as you continue to make progress that moves you forward. In addition to these milestones, you also continue to visualize the ultimate success you desire. See yourself at the pinnacle of your achievement, living the reality you envisioned. How does achieving this goal change your daily life? Notice all the ways your life is now changed by realizing this goal. Think about how your relationships have changed, how your career has changed, your personal growth, and any other relevant areas. What else do you notice? And how do you finally get to feel reaching your desired outcome? Imagine yourself experiencing those exact emotions and feel them fully. And continue to allow the positive emotions to arise within you as you visualize your success. Allow the joy, pride, and fulfillment to fill your being. Feel the accomplishment as it's already achieved. And let this feeling fuel your motivation and strengthen your belief in your ability to succeed. And now affirm this new belief in yourself by saying these statements out loud. I am capable of achieving my goals. I am turning my dreams into reality. I deserve success. I take the necessary actions to achieve it. I am worthy of happiness, fulfillment, and abundance. I am confident in my talents and gifts. I am focused, determined, and persistent in pursuing my goals. I have the courage to step out of my comfort zone and embrace new opportunities. I am resilient and rise stronger with each setback. I believe in my unlimited potential. And now visualize yourself confidently overcoming any challenge that may arise. See yourself adapting, growing, and persisting with unwavering determination. Take a deep breath in. And take a moment to express the gratitude for all the progress you have already made. Let it go. And acknowledge all the efforts that you have invested and the steps you have taken. Celebrate the small victories and milestones along the way. And embrace that feeling of gratitude for all the opportunities that are ahead. Well done. And as you slowly bring your awareness back to the present moment, you can take in one more deep breath in. Gently exhale. And at the count of 5, you'll open your eyes, be wide awake, fully integrated with this new achieved person. Number 1, beginning to feel the energy coming back into your whole body. Number 2, integrating all of the learnings deeply into your subconscious mind. 3, you are now fully aligned, embracing this new version of yourself who's already achieved this. Number 4, you are well on your way toward achieving your goal. And number 5, open your eyes, carrying with you all the emotions of achievement, knowing that you have the power to make your goals a reality. Welcome back.
All right, well done. So for everybody in the comments who was listening to this, whether it's currently or you're listening to this in the future, please let us know how that was for you. How are you feeling afterwards, and what it was like during the hypnosis. I'm always curious to get people's feedback, and it kind of helps me answer questions, about people's experiences moving forward.
Yes, and I'll be watching the comments as well. Definitely love to hear any feedback, and definitely sending you lots of positive intention and energy toward achieving whatever it is that you want to achieve in this life. That's my mission. That's why I'm here. That's why I do what I do, is to help you grow and become and appreciate the person who you already are and who you're becoming.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. So as we wait to hear from a couple of people, just a couple more things. Just while
we might have to wait for Becca to wake up. It's
Get
super
some
early,
time
so
off.
she must have just conked out and gone night night. Either that, or she's typing a pretty cool comment right now. So
Yeah, and just a little forewarning, I thought I'd plugged my laptop in. I'm downstairs. I'm still like haven't fully recovered from my hip replacement surgery, so I'm not even allowed to go in my regular studio. I'm like down in my downstairs office, and
oh yeah,
I thought I plugged my laptop into the wall. But I like literally before the hypnosis, I was like, this thing better not conk out while I'm in the
we
middle of
forgot
the
to push the on
hypnosis
button.
session.
That actually happened to me. I was working with somebody online in Calgary, and being in Saskatchewan on the other side of the province, it was quite the distance. I said, "Don't worry, if you
Yeah,
lose power, you'll be fine." And yeah, sure enough, 2 minutes after we had finished the induction, boom, power went out in Calgary.
yeah. So Becca says that she loved it. She's feeling so calm and chilled out right now, and she almost did drift off, but she's gonna bounce out and go get some sleep because she's got work tomorrow. Becca, thank you so much for joining us, and just have a little 1, 2, 3 good night. Shut your brain off. We'll see you next time. Get rest and relaxation and recharge for tomorrow or
Yes,
later
nice to
today.
meet you, Becca.
But
And once again, thank you, Victoria, for spending some time with us. This was awesome. We learned a lot. I
yeah.
probably still have about a dozen more questions. We didn't really dive into the law of attraction and that, but that could be for a future podcast. So,
That'll be
Oh
a
God,
future podcast. We left
she
an opening.
yeah, she's gonna have to come back. I think that was almost by design. If nobody else is going to take
it's
credit
always
for it, I'm
Stay
happy to.
tuned.
yeah,
Stay tuned
it's
for the next.
always by design.
Jim
It's the
works in
law of
mysterious ways.
attraction, right?
Yeah, exactly. We will attract you back for another episode in the future for sure. But thanks
Amazing.
again
Thank you
for being
guys
with
so
us.
much. Yeah,
And
it was wonderful.
we end off with Jim's signature statement. So for everybody out there, take care, stay well, be awesome. Good
Be
night, everybody.
awesome.
Stay
Good
free, guys.
night.